Hey there, in this video we are going to be discussing the basics of telling time and how to write it. So to get started, right here we have an analog clock. That's one you might see at home. That this is the way that we see time written on computers, iPhones, iPads, and things of that nature. And then right here we have an analog clock, and that's the kind that you might see at businesses and schools. So especially in school, it's going to be important to know how to tell time. So, starting with the analog clock, and as I said, this is how time is written. So, right here we have the hour, and then we have two dots, and then these are the minutes. So, this is telling me that it is 6:15. If I were to say, "Oh, it's 8:23," I would have my 8 because it's 8 o'clock. And then I have my two dots and 23. All right, moving on to my analog clock. On an analog clock, you are going to see two hands. Sometimes they're different colors, but sometimes they're not. So, what I'm going to begin with is it has two hands. It's going to have a short hand, and that is going to tell the hours. So on a clock, the hours are 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then back to 12. And then the next one is the long hand, and that long hand tells us the minutes. So when we are looking at the minutes on a clock, we count by fives. We start at 0, 0, because as we see on our digital clock, there's going to be two numbers. And then we're going to have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. And then we could consider this 60 because there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, but that is not how we're going to write it. We're going to write it as the 0, 0. And then as I said, there needs to be two numbers, so we're going to put a 0 in front of this 5 to make it 5. So if I was using the hands that I just drew, well, the shorthand tells me the hour, so the hour is pointing at 12. The long hand is pointing at the 6, which tells me that's 30 minutes. So that is telling me that it is 12:30. So if I am looking at an example of the clock itself, the clock is going to turn in one full circle, and that is called clockwise. So as you can see, the small hand is pointing directly at the 1. But sometimes as the time goes on, that smaller hand is going to get closer to the 2. So as it goes, when you see the clock small hand between two numbers, it is always going to be the smaller number of the time it is. So as we can see, like I said, it's right between two numbers, 1 and 2. The smaller number would be 1. Now the longer hand is pointing at the 9. So if I look on here, I can see, oh, that's 45. So my clock is pointing to 1:45. So just as a quick recap, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 are our options for hours, and then we have to count by fives for our minutes. The small hand tells us the hours, and the long hand tells us the minutes. So Hopefully, this helped you in being able to start telling time yourself. And of course, as always, I am here to help you in any way I can.